My name is Alexis. Standing here on the courthouse steps, the cameras are flashing, and voices are shouting questions, but I'm just walking forward, my heels clicking steadily. For the first time in years, my breath is calm, and I know that the nightmare is finally over. It all started in that kitchen, a place that was supposed to be a haven but turned into a battlefield. I was sitting at the table, having a cup of tea that my mother, Mrs. Thompson, had made. She was a cold and calculating woman, always looking for ways to control and manipulate. My sister, Lily, was 22 years old, a spoiled brat who resented me for some unknown reason. As I sipped the tea, I started to feel strange. My chest tightened, and it became hard to breathe. I tried to call for help, but my voice was weak. My mother looked down at me, her eyes cold and impatient. "You're fine. Stop making a scene," she snapped. Her words were like daggers, cutting through my panic. Lily, from the other side of the counter, let out a cruel laugh. "She's being dramatic again. She always does this when she wants attention," she sneered. I just wanted air, but they didn't seem to care. My vision started to blur, and the room tilted. I felt like I was drowning. And then, I heard the sound of boots on the tile and a low, male voice. "EMT here. Where's the patient?" The EMT, a kind-looking man named Jake, crouched beside me. He gently lifted my chin with his gloved hands and looked into my eyes. I saw a look of concern on his face, and then he squeezed his radio. "Dispatch, we're going to need police backup." I was confused. Why did they need the police? I tried to ask, but all that came out was a wheeze. My mother's voice broke then. "What are you talking about?" "She's fine," she said, but her voice was starting to crack. Jake cut her off. "She's not fine, and I think we both know why," he said, his voice calm but firm. The siren outside purred low, almost hidden. Through the corner of my dimming vision, I saw the faint strobe of blue and red lights bouncing off the window. Jake placed an oxygen mask over my face, and the first rush of air was like a wave crashing into my lungs. My hands trembled as I held onto the mask, afraid it would disappear. Jake muttered into his radio, "Pulse ox is low. Oxygen improving." Then, he leaned closer and said softly, "Stay with me. We're not letting this get covered up." I didn't understand what he meant by covered up at first. But then, I saw the way he slipped a small evidence bag into the hand of the officer who had just entered the kitchen. The officer, Officer Davis, glanced inside the bag and his jaw tightened. I realized then that this wasn't an accident. I wasn't just fighting to breathe, I was fighting for my life. The ride to the hospital was a blur. Every bump in the road made my ribs ache, and every whisper between Jake and Officer Davis in the front seat made my stomach churn. When we arrived at the hospital, Jake wheeled me straight past the waiting area. Officer Davis followed closely behind, his hand on his holster. In the exam room, a nurse drew my blood, and another attached monitors to my chest. I could taste something strange, metallic and bitter, under the oxygen mask. The doctor, Dr. Johnson, came in a few minutes later. He flipped through my chart and scanned the numbers on the screen. Then he looked at me and said, "We're running a talk screen. Do you remember what you ate or drank in the last hour?" I swallowed hard. "Just water from the glass on the counter," I said. Jake and Officer Davis exchanged a glance. "That glass is in evidence," Jake said quietly. Dr. Johnson just nodded and stepped out. But I could feel the tension in the room. Through the open doorway, I saw my mother and Lily in the waiting area. My mother was on the phone, talking fast, and Lily was scrolling through her phone, her leg bouncing nervously. Then, Officer Davis's radio crackled. A voice came through, talk screen on the glass came back positive. Same compound found in the patient's blood sample. Officer Davis looked at me steadily. "Miss, this wasn't random," he said. And suddenly, everything made sense. They hadn't just dismissed me, they had tried to kill me. Officer Davis asked me, "Ma'am, do you feel safe going home tonight?" The word safe felt foreign to me. I thought about the kitchen floor, my mother's cold voice, and Lily's cruel laugh. My silence was my answer. "We're going to keep you here for observation. I've requested protective detail," he said. Just then, 2 more officers arrived. Dr. Johnson returned with a printout in his hand, confirming it's ethylene glycol. "We're starting treatment now," he said grimly. I knew that was antifreeze. Dr. Johnson nodded, his face a mix of pity and anger. "It doesn't take much," he said. Through the doorway, I saw Lily look up from her phone as an officer approached her. She straightened, confusion on her face until she saw me watching. Her lips formed the word "you." My mother's voice rose sharply. "She's making this up. She always exaggerates," she shouted. But Officer Davis didn't flinch. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with us," he said. In that moment, I knew that the lies they had told about me for years were about to fall apart. The door to my room shut with a soft click. The doctor sat beside my bed and set the printout on the tray table. "Do you know how this could have gotten into your system?" he asked. I stared at the paper. "I drank tea at the kitchen table. My mom made it," I said slowly. He nodded and wrote something down. "I'm obligated to tell you this was deliberate," he said. The word deliberate hit me hard. It was like a cold reality that I couldn't escape. Officer Davis came back, his expression gentler. "They'll be questioned separately. We've secured your home. You won't be going back there tonight," he said. I closed my eyes. The image of my little box of belongings flashed in my mind, but there was no sadness, only relief. When I opened my eyes, I saw my uncle, Mr. Thompson, standing outside the glass panel of my room. He was my mother's older brother, a kind-hearted man who had always told me to keep a bag packed, just in case. When they let him in, he didn't say hello. He just put a set of car keys on the table. "You're not going back," he said quietly. "I'll make sure of it." For the first time that day, I felt my shoulders relax. I didn't know what the future held, but at least I wouldn't be alone that night. By morning, the news had spread through official channels. A detective, Detective Brown, came by with a folder. He laid it open, and I saw the photographs of the tea mug, the container on the counter, and the residue in the sink drain. It was surreal, looking at the evidence that had almost ended my life. "They aren't admitting to anything, but the lab results are solid. It's going to move forward whether they cooperate or not," he said. My uncle walked in just as the detective left. He was carrying a bag. "Everything you need to get started," he said simply. When I opened the bag, I saw clothes, a prepaid phone, and a lease agreement, paid in full for 6 months. "You don't have to thank me. Just promise me you won't go back there," he said. That promise was easy to make. Later, when I stood at the hospital's glass doors with my bag over my shoulder, the air felt different. It was lighter, colder, but clean. My uncle's car was waiting at the curb, and across the street, I saw my mother and Lily behind the yellow police tape. My mother's arms were crossed, and Lily's eyes were red with rage. I didn't wave or speak. I just turned away and let the door close behind me. The new apartment was small, but it was mine. There were no more slammed doors or footsteps creeping up behind me. Just silence, the kind that I had always longed for. For the first week, I didn't go out much. I wasn't afraid, I was just learning how to breathe freely without the constant fear. Then the calls started. Unknown numbers, voicemails from blocked IDs. Lily's voice was full of venom. "You've ruined everything. Mom's a wreck. I hope you're happy," she said. My mother called, pretending to be soft. "Come home and we'll talk. You're making this worse than it is," she said. Worse? They had almost killed me. The detective had warned me that they would try to rewrite the story and paint themselves as the victims. But I wasn't prepared for the video. The screen lit up with footage of my old bedroom. Every drawer was pulled out, and every wall was stripped bare. My books, photographs, and clothes were gone. Lily's face appeared on the screen. "Consider this your final wake-up call," she sneered before shutting off the camera. But I just smiled. Because weeks before that night in the kitchen, I had already taken all my important documents and possessions. Everything she destroyed was replaceable. When the police investigation was over, charges were filed. The evidence was irrefutable. My mother's fingerprints on the container, and Lily's text to a friend bragging about teaching me a lesson. Court day came quickly. I walked in quietly, dressed in navy, my hair pinned back. I was calm and collected. My mother and Lily shuffled in from the other side, both pale and nervous. The judge read the charges. Gasps filled the room when the medical report was entered into evidence. Jake, the EMT who had saved me, took the stand. When the prosecutor asked if my life had been in danger, he didn't hesitate. "Yes, minutes away," he said. The verdict came before lunch. Guilty. Sentencing was deferred, but strict no-contact orders were issued immediately. Outside the courthouse, the cameras flashed, and the voices shouted questions. I didn't answer any of them. I just walked past, my breath steady, knowing that I had finally reclaimed my life. Later that night, I called Lily's voicemail. "Turns out, I was fine after all," I said. And for the first time, they had nothing to say. This whole experience taught me that sometimes the people we trust the most can be the ones who hurt us the deepest. But I also learned that silence can be a powerful weapon, and the truth will always come out in the end. I'm no longer the girl who was dismissed and mocked. I'm a survivor, and I'm ready to start a new life.